Hello and welcome to the course. Policymakers need to ensure that there is an equality and diversity policy in place. By having one, your organisation has made a commitment to act in ways that tackle discrimination and promote equality and diversity. In this video, we are going to discuss how equality, diversity and inclusion can be implemented in organisational policy. So what exactly does equality, diversity and inclusion policy refer to? The Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Policy will spell out the organisation's understanding of the issues, how they affect your organisation and what commitments you intend to make. Although not specifically required by law, it is recognised as good practice for organisations to have a statement or policy that clearly shows their commitment to equality, diversity and inclusion. A good policy will show the staff that your organisation expects them to be serious about tackling discrimination and promoting equality and diversity. It will also provide evidence to the existing and potential service users, external partners and the wider community that your organisation is committed. A good policy may also show the funders that you meet one of the conditions of their grants, which is often a requirement for funding. Equality and diversity are also essential when considering your service users. The organisation may prepare a separate policy or statement for service provision or take consideration of the provision area within your primary policy. As a policymaker, to create a policy, start small, plan how to do it, give yourself enough time, and finally, don't put yourself or your company at risk of failing. When you are done with the initial step of creating the policy, now it's time for communicating the policy. Writing a policy is the first step. If people don't know about the policy, then it will have little or no impact. Any policy you write has a better chance of being owned and implemented if it is clear, easy to follow and unambiguous. Consulting the relevant equality organisations for advice on terminology and phrasing is a good practice. The written policy should be formally approved through the organisation's decision-making process. The policymaker plays a critical role in ensuring that the policy is communicated to everyone else involved in the organisation and publicised as widely as possible. The policy should cover all aspects of your organisation and its work. Any equality, diversity and inclusion policy that is approved must be used to inform every aspect of work. Now, before we move on to the next section, let's see what sections are typically included in a good policy. A good policy will be broken down into the following sections: a declaration of intent, a purpose, a commitment to action, a synopsis of the legal requirements, discrimination, harassment and victimisation, implementation and communication, monitoring and evaluation, complaints or grievance and disciplinary procedures. We have more information on EDI policies in a downloadable PDF that you can access in this course. Now, before we move on to the next section, a few points to keep in mind. Staff need to be trained to integrate the policy into their activities. The policy should guide recruitment and selection. It should be linked to the complaints or grievance and disciplinary procedures. The policy should also be used to write an action plan. Once the policy comes into effect, the next job is conducting an equality and diversity audit. Depending on what you wish the audit to cover, you can use the following methods to gather, analyse and report on your organisation's audit. Collect all the information your organisation collects and produces about equality, diversity and discrimination. Bring together all the information about your organisation. Collect information on the population from which your organisation draws your employees, volunteers and service users. Conduct interviews with key people you have identified for your audit to gather opinions, experiences and qualitative data. If part of your audit is focused on the experiences of staff and volunteers, interview questions may include the equality and fairness of treatment, consistent and fair application of policies and procedures, perceived organisational commitment to equality and diversity, experience of bullying, harassment or discrimination. The information you collect must be analysed and assessed to give the organisation data that you can use to develop an action plan. This analysis will help you produce a report with findings for areas of development. Ensure that the board signs up to the report's conclusions. After you have identified areas of development from the audit, you need to ensure that they are put into practice and monitored. And that starts with developing an action plan. Does your organisation have a mission statement? If so, is it committed to promoting equality and respecting diversity in all areas of your work? If not, then writing a new mission statement should be your top priority. While developing an action plan, there are a few more things you may consider. First of all, make a list for the areas of improvement based on their significance. Decide what you can reasonably achieve in a given period of time, say the next 6 to 12 months. Use this knowledge to decide which areas of work you will tackle first. Make sure that you have enough resources to complete this plan in the way you want to. If not, then revise the plan. Decide who will be assigned each piece of work. This can be seen as a staff development opportunity. Set up an equality and diversity working group to share information and monitor progress. 1 or 2 members of your board of trustees should be on this group. Remember, an action plan describes what you want to do and how you want to do it, but things may not work out quite as you expect. Keep the plan under review and adapt it. And here we are at the end of this lesson. Hope you had a great time learning about implementing equality, diversity and inclusion in an organisational context. See you soon.